Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 6:56 a.m. You are listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We got a great, fun, and artistic interview coming up after the sound of my voice. And as you guys know, we do live news every morning. So we'll be live here on Facebook coming up pretty soon at 8 o'clock a.m. Quick topics and headlines for you guys. Don't forget Mutual Grounds Walk of Hope, Sunday, May 16th. That's downtown Batavia on the Riverwalk, 140 First Street. Registration and check-in is at 10 a.m. Shouts out to Mutual Ground. There's a lot you can do to get involved. The My Superpowers Foundation is hosting a dog blanket making event to benefit rescued rascals. It's a free event and open to kids ages 5 to 18. This is free, but space is limited due to social distancing restrictions. Kids are going to be making dog blankets. No-sew blankets, easy to make and needed by dogs that are in shelters. Dogs that are less stressed are more likely to be adopted. Shouts out. So the blankets are donated to Rescued Rascals, and Rescued Rascals is a nonprofit with a simple mission: to save unwanted, abandoned, abused, and neglected dogs by placing them into loving forever homes. Shouts out to them, and this will be Saturday, May 15th at Heritage Harley-Davidson in Lisle. Very cool. There's going to be 2 sessions to accommodate as many kids as possible, one at 11 a.m. and one at 1 p.m. Sign up and registration is on our Facebook page. Go over and holla. Montgomery-based Fox Valley Habitat for Humanity. They're going to break ground for the next home at 1 p.m. Saturday the 1st at 654 Spruce Street in Aurora. The public is invited to that. According to Habitat homeowner Barbara Ziegel, who is the Habitat and Funds Marketing Coordinator, they will be there rain or shine. Shouts out. The next First Friday is going to be in downtown Aurora happening, and it'll be May 7th. Come on out for a good time. You might even see your favorite neighborhood radio host out there doing his thing. Don't forget, a live teen center on that day is going to have Hot Wheels Super Track Racing. Ooh, shouts out. That'll be at 78 South LaSalle Street on Historic Auto Road from 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. Go check it out. Masks and social distancing rules apply. The updated list of everything that's happening in downtown Aurora on First Friday is out on Aurora Downtown's website, auroradowntown.org. Check it out. Shouts out to those friends of ours. Also, lastly, Aurora Central Catholic, don't forget that even through the first, that's the virtual 25th annual Super Saturday Night fundraiser. Don't forget, it's called Silver Lining. That's this year's theme. Aurora Central Catholic School is a school committed to the spiritual formation and education of young adults in the Fox Valley area for over 50 years. Shouts out to them and all they do. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes, and Google Podcasts as well. We've got so much more coming, so continue to stay tuned to us. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to all our listeners, fans, and subscribers. You guys have a blessed day. Head on over to Facebook. We're about to go in. And that is the news. Morning, brother.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Good to see you.
Nice to be seen.
On this rainy day.
Hey, just a little liquid sunshine, that's all.
Thanks for taking a moment to sit down with us.
I'm honored. I'm glad to be on the show. I listen. Big listener of your podcast, so yeah.
Much appreciated. So for our listeners and our viewers, let us know who you are and where you're from.
My name is Lou Gabriel, but it's a.k.a. Thalo Halo. I'm an artist. I'm currently living in Geneva. I've lived in Geneva for 18 years. I'm originally from the area, grew up in Addison, went to Glenbard North High School.
Okay.
I'm a local Midwestern kid. Moved away for a little while, went to art school down in Florida, but eventually made my way back here. So yeah.
Very cool. And how would you describe your art style?
It's interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna back up a little. I've been
Sure.
painting for a while.
Okay.
I've been, I've been painting my whole life, and I took a little bit of a break because we had a kid. And it's just priorities shift and everything else. So
Sure.
my daughter's 18, going to be 19 May 5th, and when I came back, I started cartooning, just like sketchbook. Just grabbed a sketchbook. I'm like, hey, I need to get back into this art thing. So I started doing a sketchbook, and
Okay.
I think it was my daughter who suggested, oh, maybe you should post some of these on Instagram. This was like 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I started doing a little bit more, and then I started really trying to figure out, because I used to be a painter, used to have shows, big portrait pieces,
Right.
but very pop art, very colorful. And I started just doing cartooning in a sketchbook, just half hour a night, just that's all really I had time for. And I started posting on Instagram, and I started meeting people, and I started changing.
Mm-hmm.
So getting long-winded way to get around every year, every January, no matter what I do throughout the year, I kind of stop and go, I'm going to do something different.
Okay.
Because there's so many artists out there that don't evolve. And I had a really great, didn't have a great art college experience, but I had a great professor. And the one guy said, evolve or die. Keep going, find your voice, don't be comfortable at what you're doing. If you're comfortable, that means, especially when you're young. So how I would describe my work currently is, imagine a graffiti mural on a canvas that you could take home with you.
Right.
Because I'm a blue collar kid. I'm from the area. My dad was in construction. My mom was a homemaker. Then she became a bookkeeper. We weren't going to gallery type of folks.
Right.
We were just like very, like I said, my dad was in construction. We've got very southern roots. Not, we weren't going to the art institute during art opening. So the only art that I really saw on a real life basis was watching trains go by and looking at the cool. I was like, that to me was art, because like all these Rembrandts and all, those are some dead old men that I've never met, and those are fancy people.
Sure.
Guys, I knew anything painted on a train, somebody did that. Somebody living, somebody, and I always loved the colors, I always loved type, I always loved, just everything about it.
Right.
Not the illegal part, don't condone that, but, so my current style is I took my portraiture that I used to do, but then incorporated graffiti type and a lot of that feel to it. So it's like, literally, if you take one of my canvases, each one of them could be a giant mural.
Right. I've noticed that.
But it's something that I wanted you to have in your home. I wanted it, for a lot of contemporary people, it's like, hey, I like art, but a lot of the art options for people, well, there's colorful abstracts, or there's this. There's not a lot of people that do what I do, that, like I said, when I look at the canvas, I look at it as, hey, this is a mural. This is going to be a big thing. Everyone's going to see it. Well, how would I design it? And, I'm a big advocate of pop culture, superhero stuff, all that. I'm a big old nerd from way back in the day, way before nerd culture was cool. And so I try to incorporate all of my experience, and that's where I came up with this new style. It started in January. Okay. So everything that you see, all my new paintings, really, it's not like I've got 4 or 5 years backlog of that work. Every year, like last year's stuff, I was evolving to this. Last year was pop culture, but I was incorporating a lot of flowers. It's all a developmental stage. If you look at my Instagram and you feed down, you could see the evolution.
Oh, I can see
of what I did.
That's the thing about Instagram too, from an artist perspective too. When you put your work on there, it provides an aesthetic pleasure when you're looking at it. Like you can, depending on if you are trying to post and have that evolution, you can see that in an artist of what they're doing. I do like that. I follow a bunch besides yourself on Instagram, and I can see like, okay, last year in August, this person was doing this. Now I see a little bit more robust style. It looks a little bit more bold. I'm seeing, depending on the artist, seeing more pastels now as opposed to oil.
It's all about the evolution. And the reason some people, because if you look at my Instagram page, the early posts are cringy, are really bad, and I keep them on for a reason. Some people have asked me, it's like, well, you're trying to get in. Why don't you get rid of some of your old artwork, or why do you only keep it? And I'm like, no, I want people to see the evolution. And also, I talk to a lot of young artists on Instagram. I do live streams. I do group live streams with people, and they're like, hey, you're further along than I am. How did you get good, or how do you do this? And I'm like, look at my early stuff. I wasn't good.
Right.
It's that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours rule. Put in the time, you will get better. There's no magic trick to it.
Amen.
It's hard work, and it goes across in any field. If you want to do something, put in the hard work. It's very easy to say I'm an artist. We're not in a union. Anybody could just go, I'm an artist.
Right.
Great. But what do you do? How much do you work? I mean, I've done over 500 canvases. And I'm just a beginner. I'm
right.
just learning. I don't feel comfortable all the time. And I think with people starting out, especially kind of, not to diss the current culture, but it's the more the immediate. I want to get Insta famous. I want to blow up. I want to do this. And with art, it's like any other skill. You need to put in your time. You need to have a voice. You need to figure out what your voice is. So many people out there copy other art, or I like this, or which is great, and it's a good practice. That's how the masters started. They, masters
right.
took apprentices on, and you paint the way I paint, but then at some point you need to find your own voice, and that's kind of my journey. I'm trying to find my own voice and be, and the nice thing is help people along the way. But also I'm trying to help myself and develop and.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you were born in Addison.
I was born in Cook County Hospital, downtown Chicago, in Chicago.
Okay.
So I'm Illinois.
But grew up in Addison.
Yeah.
What are the similarities, if any, from the Addison story to the Aurora story? Anything between the two?
It's Midwest. It's Illinois. It's hard work culture. Mm-hmm. It's very blue collar. I lived unincorporated Addison, so it was. For those who know the area, Army Trail and Swift Road in that corner, which is unincorporated. It's between like Addison and Bloomingdale, and it was all just farmland. Like we grew up on, it was a couple acres of land. Mm-hmm. Everybody, it was very sparse where I lived. You used to go out and go hiking, run out, play, do whatever, build forts. It was really out in the country at the time, and it's similar to Aurora in the fact that it's hard to see beyond the town. And what I mean by that is if you're in a small Midwestern town, not that Aurora is small, second largest city in Illinois, but it's how do, I want to better myself. I want to get out. I want to do something else. And I felt very trapped. Like, I'm just going to stay here and this is all I'm going to do the rest of my life.
I get it.
I'm going to get a job in a factory. I'm going to go in construction, which was a big push my dad had. Go into construction, it's a good job. It's very hard to go, what is my dream? What makes me happy? And follow it. And I think that's the same culture in Aurora, in St. Charles, and Batavia. A lot of these Midwesterners, it's like, okay, are we going to stay here? What do I do? And at the end of the day, I think you have to, kind of reach out. People have to go, it's bigger than Aurora. It's bigger than Illinois. But you could do whatever you want. You're not just like, I don't have to stay in this town. Or you could stay in this town and still make your dreams happen.
What did you want to be as a young man?
Here's the thing, people go, why'd you want to be an artist? I said, I didn't want to be an artist. I had to be an artist. And you'll find that out from most artists. If they could be other things, they might, because being an artist is not easy. There's a lot of challenges, and it's it's a calling like anything else. You have to want to do it. You have to have the dedication to put in. Growing up, like I said, my dad was in construction, all his brothers, all my family were in construction. It was just inevitable. When I was 13 years old, I could go on a job site and drive a D8 dozer. I could drive a 18-wheeler dump truck. I could do all this stuff. My dad, I was like groomed to be in
Sure.
construction.
Yeah.
And I just knew that that's great for some people. You know, the day I was born, the 150 Union guy presented my dad a card with my name on it when I was born. So I was kind of destined to go into construction. And it's not what I wanted. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to get paid for my ideas. I always call myself a creative professional because I've held so many different jobs in my life, but they're all creative based. I've worked as a graphic designer. I've worked in art galleries. I'm currently, a senior producer for one of the 4 big accounting firms, and I run their day-to-day operations for their video department. So, but the idea of getting paid for your ideas, not that, oh, I sell X amount of paintings, or I knit, or I make clothes, but it's your ideas that people buy.
I get what you mean. My dad was an iron worker, local union number 1.
There you
And
go.
everything in the house was local union number 1.
100%.
The calendar,
Mm-hmm.
his helmets from when he first started to his journey,
Yep.
T-shirts he didn't fit no more, the first one he got at the conference, whatever the heck it was. And he was always preaching, I only had one job my whole life. You want a good job? Iron worker. And yeah, it's like you're groomed for something. But I knew as a young man, like, I didn't want to do that. It didn't seem that cool. I mean, it seemed cool for him, but like I wanted more. ...
Yeah.
What that more was, you don't really know. One does not know when you're 13 years old.
Exactly. I knew I wanted to be an artist.
Right.
I didn't know what that meant.
Sure. Of course. Oh, my God. Yeah.
You know where this sounds so weird, but I knew about painters, not from going to art galleries, not from going to shows, from Good Times.
Right.
J.J. Walker on Good Times
Yep.
painted,
Yep.
and I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to paint. That's something, and I knew that I had an ability. I was always drawing in notebooks as a kid. I was always, looking at stuff, drawing, and not a lot of support from my family because, like I said, they're like, yeah, that's a fun hobby you have,
Right.
but
Get a real job.
get a real job.
Of course.
And that was always my entire life. What's your fallback? I don't have a fallback because I don't take jobs I'm not happy with. Some artists that I talk to, they're like, oh yeah, I've got this 9-to-5 job and I do that, but then I come home and I be an artist and that's my creativity. I've always taken jobs where I'm creative during the day and then I'm creative at night. I love my job. I love what I do. I love working in the video field. Before that, I loved being a graphic designer. Before that, I loved working in an art gallery because it was all about, you're paying me for my ideas. You're paying me for my creativity. And that's kind of the key. You need to figure out what skill you have that makes you different than everybody else, and people will pay for it. So many artists have jobs they hate going to. I love my job.
Right.
People are like, oh, you should quit your job and do this other thing full time. I'm like, I'm doing it both.
Right.
I love both things.
Growing up, what impact did your mom have in your life?
I gotta say, she was the most supportive of the entire family. Never quite understood and was always super worried. But I think in the back of my mind, she knew, well, he could always fall back into construction. But she never pushed it, where everybody else is like, you're going in. It's not even a discussion. Biggest fight me and my dad ever had when I graduated high school. I said, I'm going to art school in Florida. He goes, no, you're going down to the Union Hall and getting a job. And respect to those people. Built America. Every time you go to the airport and you park in that parking structure, my dad built that. You go to Grant Park band shelter downtown, my dad put that in. You walk in the streets of Michigan Avenue, the 1 mag mile, my dad put those sidewalks in the 60s. Bussy Woods, that big forest preserve going up.
Oh yeah, I know. Yep.
With all the retention ponds and locks and dams, my dad built that. So that was the mentality. You do this, you build a thing, and then you retire, and that's it. But I wanted to, my mom was supportive enough to go, I don't have a concept of what he wants to do, because I didn't have a concept of exactly what I want to do. But she's like, as long as he's happy. And in the back of her mind, she always knew that I could probably fall back in this. And when I came back to Chicago, from art school, I started trying to get into art galleries. Nobody wanted to touch me with a 10-foot pole. They didn't like my stuff. So I got with a bunch of other artists. And we're like, let's just put on our own stuff. We would rent out VFW halls. We would find empty buildings and put on art shows. What the people call pop-ups now.
Right.
We would do that, but this was 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
We would find
they just call it that now.
Yeah. I was doing it. We would get 20 artists, have a little setup, find a couple bands that because there's always creative people out there that, hey, I don't have a venue, but I want to do this. So my group, we were called Subterra Underground. We thought we were so clever.
Subterra?
Yeah, Subterra, because we were like, what should we call ourselves? And it was a group of really good artists, but we just planned these events and did it, and that's how I started getting noticed. And then I started because getting noticed back in the day before Instagram, before social media, it was more of a challenge to get in. Now, like if I would do a show back in the day, I would work 6 months to get 15, 20 pieces. A show would happen. If you're lucky, a couple hundred people would come there. You make some sales, that's it. Now I do a piece. As soon as I'm done, I post it on Instagram. The entire world could see it.
Right. Build it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just, so I'm a huge advocate of social media if you're an artist. I'm a big advocate of Instagram for an artist because that's how I started. That's how I started making sales. That's how I got back into art after my hiatus from painting. I've always been creative, but getting on Instagram and people go, hey, is that for sale? I'm like, sure, yeah, it is. And some artists go, oh, I would never sell my work, or I'm keeping this. I'm like, no, I'm a creator. Once I'm done with it, I love my art. I love what I do. When I'm done with it, I want to do the next thing. And I have a very short attention span, so my pieces don't take me really long to do because I get bored with them right away. Because I always think about, I'm going to do this next piece, and I'm going to do this next piece. So I have to only work on something 2 or 3 days, and then it's got to be done because I lose focus.
So you graduated from Glenbard North?
Yeah.
Then you go to art school in Florida.
Yes.
What part of Florida?
Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. Don't bother looking it up because it's no longer existing.
What was it like going down there, being a Midwest kid, and now you're in Florida?
It was interesting. I didn't have the best art school experience because the art school did not prepare you for what's next.
Isn't that what an art school is supposed to do?
Well, and that goes on. I was listening to one of your previous guests about financial literacy.
Yeah.
It's not taught in school.
It's not, yes.
And with art school, and it might be different now, granted, I'm gray hair, I'm long in the tooth. I went to art school a while ago, but it was...
Long in the tooth? That's a country term right there.
Yeah. And I want to, back in the day, they didn't teach you. They're like, oh, this is how you do this thing.
Right.
Okay, but how do I then generate that into an art career? Or, and I had to take it upon myself. Okay, I graduated, I've got this paper that says I graduated art school. Well, what does that mean? You got to get a job. And luckily, we had a portfolio review and a ad agency saw me and picked me up that first night.
First night?
We had a portfolio review. It's when all the seniors come in.
Okay.
They put out all their artwork, and potential buyers and parents and employers come in and see all this.
I thought you meant like your first night at art school. Like, this brother's got good luck.
No. So it's senior. You're about to graduate, and lucky enough, I was one of the few people that got a job right out of school. And I've never not been in art since. It's one of my proudest things is the last non-creative job I had was I worked as a bouncer in a bar during art school, and that was the last time I didn't get paid for my ideas. I've always been in the creative field in one way or the other my entire life, and I'm old.
I can imagine that you didn't like being a bouncer.
it was when I told my dad, hey, I'm going to art school, I didn't have money to go to art school. I didn't have, they weren't, I had no financial support from my family.
What year are we talking?
84.
Okay.
And I was down, I had a little bit of savings, which I blew, and I was about to get kicked out of art school. I had that pink notice on your door saying, go to the financial office. And I needed to get a job, and I knew that making minimum wage at like a fast food place wasn't going to get me the money I needed.
1984 minimum wage.
Right. And lucky enough, I was in a bar probably a night before, and I helped them break up a fight. There was a fight going on in the bar. I helped break it up, and the guy's like, hey, you want a job here? Well, back in the day, Fort Lauderdale was known for spring break, and we were making a lot of money. The bar was making a lot of money, so he's like, hey, you can work as much as you want. So that's how I put myself through college. I have zero college debt. I paid for my college just through working in bars and bodyguarding and things like that you do in Miami during the 80s. And but yeah, once I left there, I got my first job was an ad agency being an artist, grunt work.
In Florida?
In Florida. Okay. Worked a few jobs, worked at a print shop. And then I really wanted to get back to the Midwest. Florida wasn't really for me. It was too hot. It was just, So there was my sister sent me a job opening. She was working at Osco Drug in Oak Brook, and they needed a graphic designer. And I talked to the people over the phone, so I had a job waiting for me when I came back. So I just moved back here, got the job, and I've been here ever since.
So you are doing, you said ad work at Oak Brook, Osco?
Yeah, I was doing that back in the day. You would get these little flyers, in the Sunday paper when people used to get papers, and, their ads. They needed to be laid out. They needed to be designed.
So that was you responsible for that?
Yeah, they needed to be drawn. Before all the, once again, showing my age, back in the day, everything had to be line art. All the pictures were drawn out. They'd get a new product. They'd get a new pencil sharpener that they were selling, and here's the product, and we'd have to draw it and put it in the ad. And I was one of those guys drawing it. I was laying it out, then I went to drawing, and then I worked there for a year, found a better job at another graphics place, found a better job. Then I worked at an art gallery for a while because I started going into, I was trying to get more into the art scene here, and I was looking around, and one thing led to another. I talked to a guy, he's like, hey, there's this opening at this art gallery. Worked for Don Austin Galleries for a little while. When they went defunct, I just walked across, I'm like, what's the closest gallery? And it was Martin Lawrence Galleries in Woodfield. And I walked across the street, and I told the gallery director, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. She talked to me for 5 minutes. She's like, start tonight. So I started working in an art gallery, and I worked there for years. And then I went back to graphic design, worked at McNeil Hospital in Berwyn as a graphic designer, and then a couple other places. And then I moved into the accounting firm place where I started there in graphics, and I moved into the videography end of it. Always been in love with videos, used to always make my own videos, things like that. And it was just kind of a natural transition. It was back in the day when videos were just starting. It was pre-YouTube, pre-everything, but I saw, hey, video is going to be super important for everybody. And now's the time to get into it because not a lot of people, because it was all based on internet speeds. People were on 56K, modems. They weren't going to watch videos. But I knew that it was going to evolve, so I got into it early.
What year is this we're talking?
Oh, God, 15 years ago, probably. 15 years ago, I connected with another guy at my company who was really into animation, flash design, things like that. And I told him, hey, I do videos, and he did, we got together, and now that company has their own video department, and
So now at this time, you're not living in Aurora yet.
Right.
Okay. What do you know of Aurora at this time? Had you any friends? Had you ever come out this way?
Yeah. Well, living in Addison, because we all played each other in sports and everything else, we would come to each other's area,
Okay.
you know. So we would be here. The casino, when I got older, the casino was here. When the casino opened up, I'm like, hey, I'm going to roll there. And yeah, so I've been in and out of Aurora my entire life.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
and it was just, you know, it's something that this area, as much as I'm like, I'm going to get out. Like, when I grew up, I'm like, I'm going to get out of Illinois. This is just pulled me back. It was like where I was meant to be.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you could be here and follow your dreams, especially nowadays. You know, you can with social media, with the internet, with now with people working from home, and that whole culture is you could really live anywhere and follow your dreams. You don't, hey, if I want to go in the movies, I have to move to California, or if I'm going into this, I have to move to New York, or I have to go to Paris. You don't necessarily have to. You know, oh, I want to be a stand-up comedian. Oh, I've got to be on the road. I got to do this. Being on TikTok, there's people blowing up all over the place, just leveraging social media from their homes.
Right. No, I do believe to your earlier point that if one is dedicated, you know, whatever your craft may be, like stick with it, and you know the it will pay off. You don't have to, like you said. You know, I lived in California, and it was amazing how many people were not from California.
Right.
People from Connecticut, this guy's from Delaware, you know, but they took that proverbial, they packed it all in that Saturn and drove
across
from Maine
right.
to California, you know, and to chase that dream.
It is a big risk, and I was back in art school, once again, not the greatest experience, but I had a really good professor. And him and I were standing around, and this freshman came up to him and started talking and wanted a critique of his artwork. And he goes, your stuff sucks. You shouldn't even be here. You should go. And I didn't say anything. I was just looking at him. I was like, man, this kid came to you for help. And you're like, and he was good. Like, I looked at his stuff. I was like, man, this stuff was good. And the kid went away. And I'm like, what the heck was that about? He goes, if I could convince him to not be an artist, he shouldn't be an artist. He goes, it's a dedication, it's a calling. You have to have a thick skin. You're going to get more no's than yes. You're going to get more people going, I don't like your artwork.
Right.
So it is that dedication you have to put in. And I know a lot of very talented artists that nobody's ever heard of. They don't want to go on because they don't have the drive to really go out and put themselves out there. People don't want to do interviews. They don't, hey, you know, I don't want to talk about myself. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. But I know to do this, I need to get over that hump. It's a thing that you need to do.
Right.
I'm not the most talented artist. But when you talk to me, you won't think that because, you know, it's part of the, you know, the P.T. Barnum showmanship of it, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah, brother, you're right.
Nobody will promote you.
You are right.
Like yourself. A good friend of mine had a gallery downtown. And he was a great artist. His cousin was a businessman. And he's like, hey, I've got money saved up. I want to open this gallery. I'm going to handle the artists. I'm going to handle all the creative side, and you handle all the business. This is his cousin. One day I came to his gallery. We're going to have a show. And him and I were just chopping it up. Oh, we're going to do this. And he seemed really mad. I was like, what's wrong? He goes, yeah, we're not going to have your show. I'm like, what happened? His cousin, who didn't have like a good credit score, so everything was in Tom's name. His cousin embezzled all his money, ran up his credit, and then took off. So that was a good lesson for me is nobody will promote, like keep an eye on the business side. Nobody will promote you like yourself. Nobody will take care of you like yourself. It's great to have help, but make sure, don't be blind on it. He had blinders on. Oh, this guy's going to take care of me, and I'm going to do this. Really keep your eye on everything. There's the business side of art, which some artists are not good at. I'm not a great artist, but I try to have that balance of, I know the business side. I know what I need to do to level up. And a lot of artists just don't, it's challenging because you do have to learn. It's another skill. Being an artist is being a good painter, sculptor, fabric maker, whatever. Being a creative professional means you need to know every aspect of it. I need to know the business side. I need to know the creative. I need to know the promotional.
How'd you come up with the name Thalo Halo? What is that?
Thalo Halo. I always laugh because my daughter's like, I've heard you tell that story 1,000,000 times. It goes back, I'm trying to pay homage to the graffiti artists that I grew up watching and loving. That graffiti artists always have a tag, they always have a name. And it's never, somebody once asked me, why don't graffiti artists really sign their work with their own name? They'd get more recognition. I'm like, because it's against the law and tag,
Yeah.
So
James Smith.
Yeah, and here's my address, and here's, so everybody would have a tag, they'd have a name. And I needed something, and when I was in school, the Blues Brothers was big. And there was a guy in the Blues Brothers band, Blue Lou. My name was Lou, so I got people who just call me Blue Lou or Luther Blue or whatever. Mm-hmm. And my last name is Gabriel. So I was like, okay, Blue, Gabriel. Well, phthalo is a color of blue, and halo goes over an angel. My last name is Gabriel. So it kind of worked that way, Thalo Halo.
I like it.
And then when I got on Instagram, it was a kind of a, what do I call myself? Because I do want to keep this separate from my work. I never, because I get paid, to do a job, and I want to do it well, and I focus on that when I'm there, and when I'm off, I do this. So I kind of I've got two separate desks. If you look at my studio, this is what I do at this time, and over here on this side of the studio, this is what I do over here. It's
right.
Like taking off one hat, putting on another hat. So yeah, the Thalo Halo thing just came from, and it sounded good, and it was available. I have Thalo, hey, shameless promotion, go to thalohalo.com. Yeah. And, find me on Instagram at Thalo Halo. Those are the two big things you can reach me at.
I love Instagram. Instagram is the coolest app. I love the gram. The gram is so much fun. It is. It
is a great way to meet people locally.
Yep.
And then also meet people globally.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met people in Russia, in the UK, all over the place, Central South America, that I would have never talked to in 1,000,000 years. How would I find these people? In Japan, in the entire Asia market, I've got followers, and it's great to connect with people. Some are artists, some are just fans of my work, and it's really great because they could hit me up on DMs, and I try to follow. I try to hit people back. Sometimes it's I really like your work. How did you do this? Sometimes it's just complimentary, know. And I've had a really positive experience with that. I know some people, Instagram people are mean or this or that. I've had a very positive experience because I try to stay positive.
Right.
Help people out when you can. The rising water lifts all boats. If I get better, you get better, we all get better.
In regards to locally, the first time I met you was a First Friday event at Cottonseed Creative Exchange.
Cottonseed Creative Exchange.
You had a
Cottonseed Artist Creative Exchange.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had a pop-up going on there with some other artists.
Yep.
And from what I saw when we walked in, you had a really good reception, really good turnout that night.
Yeah.
For the community.
It was really great. I had not done, like I said, I did those pop-ups 20 years ago.
Right.
And the owner of the store said, hey, we're starting First Fridays again. Mm-hmm. Would you want to be in it? And in my head, I said no. And then my friend because it's something that I wasn't comfortable with. But I'm in this artist group, shout out to Monstrous Art Clan, and one of the other members is local, DZ, at DZ Halasi. And she's like, I'm doing it, so you're doing it. I was like, okay, I'll do it with you. If I didn't have her pushing me to do it, I probably wouldn't have done it. For multiple reasons, COVID, just being uncomfortable. Also, my work, I paint, I didn't have a lot of smaller things. I didn't know what I was going to do. There was a lot of, I didn't know. But I did it. And it was great, and I wanted to support the store because they supported me. I mean, I reached out to them and I said, hey, my friend's in your store, she sells, and hey, are you interested in my work? I showed them some stuff, and I thought they were going to hang up a painting. Like, yeah, and I would have been thrilled with that. And I talked to Yvonne, great, super great woman, and she's like, well, maybe we could do, I went in and talked to her. I'm like, well, maybe we could put something over here. And there was a lot of, we didn't know what we were going to do. And then she ended up giving me a big wall. If you go into Cottonseed, as soon as you walk in to the right, you will see a big wall. Mm-hmm. Number one, you can't miss my pieces because you might not like them, but they are loud and colorful.
Oh, yeah, they stand out.
So she's like, oh, you could have this wall. And I'm like, I'll take it. And I just, and then it's like, she's like, well, you could put some stuff in the window. I'm like, yeah, I will. I mean, I loaded up my car because I didn't know what I was going to bring. So I figured, well, I'll bring a lot of stuff, but I'll just put up, whatever she wants. She was super cool, is super cool to me. So I wanted to be accommodating to her. And she's like, no, do whatever you want. Fill up the wall, do whatever. So I did that. And people came out on First Fridays. Coming up, you got a First Friday coming up in May. Go out to the store. Go out to Aurora. See the galleries. Go out, interact. Be safe. Social distance. Wear a mask. But get out and support your local stores. Another place I'm in Ghoulish Mortals in St. Charles. It's another art gallery. They lean very heavily on, I don't want to say Halloween, but when you think of Dracula, when you think of Frankenstein, when you think of Little Shop of Horrors, they cater to that, and I have a whole section of wall there. I have a great display because the stuff that I focus on there is the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
Oh, I loved it.
Every year the Simpsons do a Halloween special, mm-hmm. and there's 30 plus years of material there. And when I talked to Dove about getting into her place, I said, hey, I want to do this. She's like, and I showed her my work, and one of them was a Simpsons piece. She's like, oh, that's really cool. Do you have more of these? I go, I will.
Right.
And I went, and she's like, well, you could, it was another one of these things. Well, maybe they'll put one of my prints out, and I'll be happy. She's like, well, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this. And I ended up, she's like, oh, you could have this big sections bigger than this table. And I go, she's like, oh, we could put up a little sign. I go, can I make my own sign? And she's like, yeah, it'll save me. Knock yourself out as long as it. And I have this giant lit up sign cool. that I made myself. And she's like, people go into that place just to get their picture in front of the sign in my artwork.
Ghoulish Mortals in St. Charles.
Yeah, downtown St. Charles, Ghoulish Mortals. And like I said, it's not scary stuff. Like, it's kid friendly. They have kids events and stuff in the basement. They've got it, like, if you want to do a kid's birthday party and stuff. But it's beyond just a gallery feeling, because you have to go to get the experience, because they've got little like sections of, here's the Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street section. Here's they have the displays built out, and it's really cool. Like I said, if you haven't been there, downtown St. Charles, definitely go. There's so many good artists in there, and they carry and they're all prints. They're not original, so everything is affordable. I'm going to come out with a line of buttons and stickers and stuff that I'm going to sell there. So go there if you're into any of the kind of more creepy, fun Halloween stuff. Go there. They do, like I said, it's a great display just to even walk around, but you're not going to be able to walk out of there without getting something. Same thing with Cottonseed. It's not just, hey, it's an art gallery, here's a painting. There's so many different artists in there. There's so many different takes. Perry Slade stuff's in there. Great photographer. Like I said, my homegirl DZ Halasi stuff is in there. Cartoon stickers, really interesting artwork. Tyler's work. Tyler, you had on the show.
Oh yeah.
And his artwork and his shirts are up there. Really cool stuff. So it's kind of like a general store for creative people. Like, you walk in there and you're not going to be able to not find something you like. That's a lot of double negatives all in that sentence. But you will walk in there and something will go, oh, that's dope. I gotta have that.
What does America mean to you?
What does America mean to me? It's interesting when people ask me like, oh, well, what nationality you are. I did one of those trace things, you know, ancestry thing. Yeah. I traced us back to 1628. We were here, my family came over really early. And in my family, and I was looking, it's like, we've been involved. We were involved in the Revolutionary War. We were involved in, you know, just all the, it means freedom, it means opportunity. I had the privilege to, the company that I currently work for donated a bunch of money and schooling in financial literacy information to the city of, the country of Belize, but Belize City. And I was able to go down there and do a documentary on everything that we did to support. And I really hadn't been out, I'm kind of a Midwestern kid, I really haven't been out of the country that much. We used to go to like Mexico, but it was resort town stuff. I never really, and I got to go to Belize City to do some documentaries. And to see, wow, this, you know, America is so different. We're so privileged, we're so lucky to be here. And it's a luck of a draw. I didn't pick to live in America, I was born here. But I feel honored to be, respect to all the people, service people, you included, former Navy man. Everybody that involved, I had a lot of my family members were in the military, and you know, just there is, like I said, freedom in the one word,
right.
Freedom to be who you want to be. Can it be better? Of course it can. Mm-hmm. Does it need change? Of course it does. But when you look at where other countries are, I don't think we appreciate where we are and the luxuries that we have. And it was based on people's service. I mean, shout out to all the first responders, especially during this pandemic. I mean, we were able, I mean, I can't imagine living in how other countries dealt with that, because we've got this infrastructure, and we've got this support, and we've got, I mean, depending on what your political views are, it's been a little shaky. But I think that, you know, America in general, it's filled with great people. And if you, I've been lucky enough to kind of travel the country, and I've seen around, and it's a beautiful country. I mean, there's just, and not just aesthetically, the people are beautiful.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about, well, there's this hate and that hate, but there's also a lot of love. There's a lot of love in this country. People love to, you know, just share their experiences. The people love to help people out. I mean, that's the one thing that I've noticed. Yeah, there's negatives. Yeah, it could be better. Not denying that. But in America, I mean, like I said, this is all I really know. I've had a very small experience going, but I feel honored to live here. You know, get out and vote. I'm a big advocate of get the vote out, get your voice heard, be part of the process. Don't sit and complain that, oh, this sucks. Did you vote? No, get out and vote. Your voice matters.
So besides Instagram, how can people find out about your work and check you out and get in contact with you? Okay,
shameless promotion time. We should have a little stinger. Shameless promotion. You could always reach out to me on Instagram at Thalo Halo. You could also go to thalohalo.com. You could also go to reach out to me at Cottonseed. My work is on their website, and physically walk into the store. I'm a big advocate of walking in.
Right.
If you're local, go there. Go there on First Fridays. You know, get out and see what they have. They're going to have artists. I won't be there this one. I was on the last First Fridays. The next one in June, they have the Art Ramble going on. I'll be represented there.
Right. Good.
So, and then also, you know, Ghoulish Mortals, go on their website. If you're local, go to the store. Because you might like my work, not like my work. Go experience it, because you'll find other stuff that you'll like. You might even like my work. Hey, I went to Ghoulish Mortals And, oh, I dig your stuff. But I also found Chris Aminga's there, and Albright's there, and all these other great artists that are there, that are national artists. Some of them, you know, there are some local artists at Ghoulish Mortals, but there are also some really big national artists
Right.
that are there. So you can reach out to me there. I'm going to be, I've got 3 other stores that I'm talking to currently that by the summer, hopefully I'll be in there. I've got a big show planned for this fall that because of the pandemic, we're waiting for dates to get cleared up. But as soon as the dates are available, I'll be announcing it on Instagram, and then it'll be on my website and everywhere. But the easiest thing to do to find me is I post quite a bit on Instagram, and then also thalohalo.com.
And then this interview as well, folks can learn about you.
And here.
Yep.
And go follow. If you don't listen to Good Morning Aurora, you're missing out. I didn't know about Good Morning Aurora. And then I was like, wow, okay. I checked this out. And I was like, I didn't know this. Man, this guy's funny.
Thank you,
hey,
brother. Thank you.
This guy's interesting. This is just not, I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. Because I was like, Yvonne told me, oh, she was on it. And then I watched hers, and I watched Tyler's. I was like cherry picking.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I'm not gonna listen to. I'm not gonna listen to financial. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Oh, wow, that's really. And then you just, yeah. So if shout out to the city of Aurora, city by the Fox, the city that always rocks. Check out Good Morning Aurora.
So you got stuff coming up, and we wish you the very best.
Thank
and
you,
we would
sir.
like to, we'll be interested to shout you out and highlight what you got going on, and then see you again, hopefully in the future. And I'll be checking out Ghoulish Mortals. So the show ends on a positive note.
Okay.
What is your message today for the people of Aurora?
People of Aurora. I always think, I watch Jesus and Miro, and they always, what would your neon sign be? It would be about love and change. There's nothing we can't do with love and change. That's unstoppable. If you have love and if you're positive, you can change the world. Hate is horrible in every aspect of it. Be on the positive too. Be on the love. You know, it's very easy to be negative. It's very easy to look at a lot of horrible things that's happened, and quite recently, and
Sure.
look at it and go, man, this sucks, and that. Stay in the positive tip. And love and change will get us through.
On behalf of Good Morning Aurora, we appreciate your time coming in here and talking to us.
I'm honored, and I want to thank you for it. This is great. I had a great time chatting with you.
I'm glad you did, brother. I'm glad you did. And I look forward to a part 2 in the very near future. Folks, don't forget, check out Ghoulish Mortals, downtown St. Charles. Monsters Art Clan shouts out. And also, don't forget to go into Cotton Sea Creative Exchange, 8 North Broadway.
Correct.
And that's where you can find DZ Halasi and Thalo Halo's artwork when you guys go in there. And then stay tuned for First Fridays, not this next one, but definitely in the future.
Definitely go out there. I mean, like I said, I love when people come out and see me, but support the store. Support the other artists. And then in June, like I said, more than likely, because I'm part of their ramble in June, I'll be there.
And then check out thalohalo.com.
Outstanding.
All right. All of you guys, be blessed, be motivated, be positive, and love and change is the message of the day. Peace.